The Antiques Roadshow is one of Britain's favourite programmes, but not everything goes to plan, and some of its guests have suffered some serious letdowns. While some folks bag big bucks for their grandma's necklace, others go home disappointed, as their objects are worth much less than they thought. Here, we take a look at 5 of the biggest Antiques Roadshow blunders. Number 5. In 2024, Antiques Roadshow expert Rupert Marsh was forced to issue a grovelling apology to a guest on the BBC show after he delivered a damning verdict on an item. Historian Rupert was asked to look at a painting thought to be by Sir Peter Lely, a famous Dutch artist who moved to England and became Charles II's main painter. The owner said, "We know it was bought in auction in London in the 1850s by the brother of my great-great-grandfather who was Sir Charles Forbes. We've been lucky enough to end up with this fella hanging on our wall." Rupert replied, "It looks to me like it's got something to do with Sir Peter Lely, the famous 17th century portrait painter. The question is it by Lely? The catalogue of 1845 you've just shown me says Lely, doesn't it? Quite clearly." But he pointed out that artwork descriptions from that time were often not very clear. Rupert added, "The thing about Lely, the great portrait painter that he was, is that when he died he left hundreds of unfinished portraits and versions of portraits already done. His students and studio assistants finished them really quickly, and sold them all, so that his entire estate, including his collection of old masters, made something like £30,000 in the 17th century, a massive amount of money. He was so popular. It effectively flooded the market with versions of his pictures done by lesser hands. The question is it one of those?" Rupert then told the guest not to look too closely, as he thought it might be a bit of a blow. He said, "Sorry, but I'm afraid this is a shadow of a dream. In other words, it's not even by a studio citizen. I think it's a much later copy. There's something about the reduced scale, of course it should be massive, makes it look more domestic. Something about the frankly Victorian idea of a 17th century frame. It's been copied," he noted, before sharing more clues that the item wasn't genuine. "The colours are slightly gaudier than you'd expect, a little bit of clunkiness in the drawing of the hand. And then put on top of that brown finish, which is quite deliberately antiquing it. I think what we're looking at is a 19th century copy. I'm sorry, but it might even have been new when it was in this catalogue." Wrapping up his tough judgment, he said, "So, if it was an original Lely, it would be pretty well around £1 million. But as it is, it's probably worth around, I don't know, £600. But decorative and nice enough. I'm sorry to let you down." The owner took the news well, replying, "That's all right. Thank you very much." Number 4. Expert Stephen Fletcher was left red in the face when he wrongly valued a bizarre-looking face jug at a huge price. The unusual item was 30 centimeters tall, decorated with 6 faces, and came from a barn, so it had been covered with dirt and straw. Praising the piece, Stephen said, "This, in its own way, is really over the top. It's bizarre and wonderful. You even see a little bit of, like, Pablo Picasso going on here." Asked how much he thought the item would sell for, he replied, "In a retail setting, someone might ask anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000, equivalent to £40,000. But unfortunately, he got it very wrong, because a viewer saw the episode and got in touch with the show to reveal that the grotesque jug face was made by a friend of hers at school back in the 1970s. Oh, the shame." The expert was forced to eat his words, saying, "Obviously I was mistaken as to its age by 60 to 80 years. I feel the value at auction, based on its quality and artistic merit, is in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. Still not bad for a high schooler in Oregon." Number 3. In 2021, an Antiques Roadshow couple were left gutted when an expert revealed the disappointing truth behind a brooch passed down from their grandmother. The pair were on the BBC programme with a mixed haul of jewellery, with some varying degrees of preciousness. They were joined by jewellery historian John Benjamin on the grounds of Stoner Park in Oxfordshire. Telling the story behind their pieces, the guests offered up their belief that a stunning pin was set with a huge emerald stone, and if so, would be worth up to £100,000. Expert John announced he would display the pieces in chronological order, from the first piece made at the end of the Victorian era, to the last at the end of the 1930s. The husband told him, "These pieces of jewellery were given to my wife on our wedding day by my mother, and she indicated that they were given to her on her wedding day by her mother. And because there was no daughter in the family, we suggested that should we have any daughters going forward, the jewelry could be given to that particular daughter on her wedding day. Picking up the pin, believed to be set with an emerald, John told the pair, "This pin is set with a very large green stone, and white stones. That was made in about 1910. He asked, "Now what do you think the green stone is?" Replying honestly, the owner said, "I thought it was an emerald." But revealing the unfortunate truth, John revealed, "I wish it was. It would be worth an absolute fortune. It would be worth £100,000 if it were, but it's glass." Luckily their spirits were quickly lifted as John moved on to another piece, this time a silver brooch, but with another green stone. John told them, "This was made in about 1915. It's also set with white stones." "Now, what did you say you had hoped that one was?" As they admitted, "We hoped it was an emerald," John confirmed. "That is. And it's a superstone from Colombia, that's where the best ones come from. It's a really lovely, rich, bright green color. And it's in a diamond frame that's deco. Art deco is that rectangular, geometric linear construction. It's all good news." He went on to confirm a clip in the collection was made with real diamonds, adding, "These are lovely, lovely pieces." Preparing them for his final valuation, John continued, "Now we're going to move on to the values. Your pin, £10. To which the guests laughed, and in surprise repeated the small amount to the expert. But their disappointment soon turned to shock at the huge amounts their other pieces of jewelry were valued at. Going on to summarize, if they sold the collection, it would be worth between £15,000 and £20,000. Struggling to contain his emotions, the owner exclaimed, "Good God, incredible. I'm just blown away, it's just been tucked away in a drawer. I mean, we thought they were real diamonds but had no idea of the value. Thank you so much." Incredible. Number 2. In 2022, Antiques Roadshow saw expert Andy McConnell come across an incredible find. A guest came on the show with some unusual glasses from Finland, which he'd received as a gift years ago. However, the guest was left gutted after making a costly mistake. One of the glasses owned by the guest, a green one, was more valuable than the one he brought into the show. Andy told him, "So I must say, I really like these glasses," as he inspected them. He added, "Yeah, I just got a little kind of rush when I saw these." The owner explained that his family had been given them a few years ago due to the death of a family friend. He explained, "And the friend was a lady that escaped the war in World War II, to Liverpool. She was a Swedish lady, and she made uniforms for the Russian army. I took a liking to them, the glasses, from the age of about 12. And then as I got older and left, my mum just said, 'Take them with you.'" It didn't take long for Andy to correct the guest, saying, "I think she was making Russian uniforms in Finland." He explained, "Because these are both Finnish, and Finland in the post-war era flexed its muscles and said, 'We are free nations.' So what you have is a birth of this amazing glass that was really individualistic. It was quite unlike anything else that was being made at the time. And many of the designers were women, because most glass designers had always been blokes." Andy explained that the glasses were by Sarah Hopi, designed in Finland. He said that one of the two glasses he'd brought in was more valuable than the other. "This is just gorgeous. I mean, you can't mistake it for anything else. I've seen them in the books because Sarah Hopi, this is her most famous piece." "So you've got several of these, have you?" The guest explained that he did have another one, in the color green. Andy replied, "You got the green one as well. It only came in 2 colors. And you got one of each. I'm glad you didn't give them away." The owner admitted, "I'm gutted I didn't bring it," clearly disappointed. Getting down to the valuation, Andy explained that the less valuable glass is kind of £60, £70, £80. However, the more expensive one was worth a whopping £500. Number 1. This time, it wasn't the experts, or the owners that got things wrong, because it turned out it was some poor unsuspecting builders who lost out on a huge amount of money. The Antiques Roadshow guest brought in some unusual fabric, explaining that he bought the pile of textile designs from the builders, telling the audience, "In December 2020, builders were throwing stuff away. I was a cheeky chappy, asked them if I could have a look, buy some bits and bobs, Done a deal. And expert Ronnie Archer Morgan told him that they belonged to a very influential designer, Althea McNish. Of course, the man had no idea at the time what he was picking up, but Archer Morgan was keen to explain the significance of McNish's work. He said, "She was one of the most influential post-war textile designers that Britain has seen. She brought the color and vibrancy of Trinidad to the shores of post-war Britain, at a time when we really needed color here. She did designs for Liberty. She did stuff for Christian Dior. She did beautiful swatches. I mean, these colors are amazing." McNish also designed for the royal family. I believe in 1966, she designed the royal wardrobe when Queen Elizabeth went round the Caribbean. She was extraordinary. Expert Archer Morgan flipped through a sketchbook of her designs, all of which had remained clear and vibrant 50 years from the day they were created. When it came to the valuation, he said, "I know that half a square meter of certain of her designs can be £2,500, or a textile design itself can be that sort of money. From what you've told me and what I know, I think this archive that you've brought to us here is worth in excess of £250,000. And it needs to be calculated." The audience was stunned at the £250,000 valuation, with the owner saying, "That's blown me away." Absolutely. It's just been an incredible journey of learning and knowledge. Expert Ronnie replied, "I feel lucky. It's great to have met you." Viewers at home were equally as stunned by the valuation, all vowing to keep their eyes peeled for any sparkling treasures thrown away in bins in the future. But did they spare a thought for those unlucky builders who lost out on the fortune? Let's just hope they weren't watching the show. Subscribe to Blinkerbytes for more fun facts, feel-good stories, antiques, animals and more.